Good day everyone, this is teacher Chelsie and today we're going to review children and adolescent literature. This review will serve as your preparation for the upcoming BLEPT exam. So I hope you learned something today on our review, and don't forget to get your pen and paper or pencil and paper, and later on comment your score below at the end of this video. Before we formally begin, a simple instructions is that I will read the questions as well as the choices, and then I will give you 5 seconds to answer it, and then later on we will check if your answer is correct or not. Okay? Alright, let's begin. So number 1. Who is the father of children's literature? A. John Newbery, B. Brothers Grimm, and C. Hans Christian Andersen. And your 5 seconds timer starts now. Alright, let's see if you got the correct answers. The correct answer is letter A. John Newbery. John Newbery is credited with being the first to recognize that children deserve literature written specifically for them, and not just literature seized off from the adults. So that's why he published the first children's book. The title is A Little Pretty Pocket Book in 1744. It is an illustrated story that is aimed primarily at children. On the other hand, Brothers Grimm, or Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm, are two Germans known for their collection of German fairy tales. And lastly, we have Hans Christian Andersen, and he is known as the father of modern fairy tales. His stories include The Ugly Duckling, The Little Mermaid, and The Emperor's New Clothes. Okay, next. Number 2. This type of literature uses animals as characters in a story to teach morals. A. Legend, B. Myth, C. Fable. And your timer starts now. Alright, let's see if you got the correct answer. So the correct answer is letter C. Fable is a short story that uses animals or plants to impart valuable lessons to children, while legend is a traditional story that uses real people or historical events to highlight heroic deeds or cultural values to children. Lastly, myth. Myth is a story that explains natural phenomena or how the world was created, and it often uses gods or goddesses or supernatural beings as characters in the story. Okay? Number 3. The sole purpose of the earlier book of children's literature was didactic, but due to the shift of focus of literature, it was now being written for sheer enjoyment. Which of the following is not an example of a didactic literature? A. I Want My Hat Back by John Classen. B. A Little Pretty Pocket Book by John Newbery. And C. Aesop's Fable. And your timer starts now. Let's see if you got the correct answer. So before that, let me discuss first what is a didactic or a didactic book. A didactic book is a type of literature that is meant to instruct or teach morals or lessons to children. That is why A. I Want My Hat Back by John Classen is not an example of a didactic literature. I Want My Hat Back is a picture book illustrated by John Classen. Although it explores the theme of lying and stealing, it's not directly teach a lesson to children. Instead, it uses subtle visual storytelling and irony. Meanwhile, Aesop's Fable and A Little Pretty Pocket Book by John Newbery are examples of a didactic books. Aesop's Fable is a collection of short stories that uses animals to teach lessons to children, and it is associated with the Greek writer Aesop. Meanwhile, A Little Pretty Pocket Book teaches a lesson about proper behavior, moral development, and how play or games not only gives enjoyment to children but also can impart teachings and much more to children. 4. How did children's literature begin? A. Written storytelling, B. Oral storytelling, and C. Visual storytelling. And your timer starts now. Okay, let's see if you got the correct answer. So, the correct answer is B. Oral storytelling. Children's literature began with oral storytelling, which is the earliest form and the most traditional way of sharing stories and transmitting knowledge to everyone, long before humans could read and write. Now, meanwhile, written and visual storytelling began to develop in 1600s and 1700s with books like Orbius Sensualium Pictus that was published in 1658 by John Amos Comenius, which is considered as the first first children picture book, and A Little Pretty Pocket Book, published in 1744 by John Newbery, which is considered as the first children's book. 5. Who invented the printing press with metal movable type for printing? Again, with metal movable type for printing, allowing mass productions of books. A. William Caxton, B. Johannes Gutenberg, and C. P. Sheng, or in some other sources, P. Sheng. And your timer starts now. Alright, let's see if you got the correct answer. So the correct answer is letter B, Johannes Gutenberg. Why not P. Sheng when in fact he is the one who invented the first movable type of printing press? Okay, let's discuss. P. Sheng was a Chinese inventor who invented the first movable type of printing press using ceramic or clay in between 1041 and 1048 in China. Decades later, Johannes Gutenberg is a German inventor who introduced the metal movable type of printing press to Europe in 1450. And years later, William Caxton is the one who introduced this type of printing press to England in 1476. 6. What do you call a small book that contains children's stories, poems, or religious texts? A. Hornbook, B. Picture book, and C. Chapbook. And your timer starts now. Sorry. Alright, let's see if you got the correct answer. So the correct answer is letter C, chapbook. Let's discuss them one by one. A hornbook is a small paddle-shaped wooden board that contains a biblical stories or alphabet. While a picture book, I guess you all know this one, is a 32-page that combines text and illustrations to tell a story to children. Lastly, we have chapbook, which is the correct answer. It is a small and expensive book that consists of 24 pages that and contains stories, poems, and religious texts. So these books were sold by street peddlers known as chapmen or chapman for pennies way back before. Next, 7. Which of the following books is an example of a wordless picture book? Again, an example of wordless picture book, where the story is told entirely with illustrations only. A. Pancakes for Breakfast by Tommy De Paula. B. Chika Chika Boom Boom by Bill Martin Jr. and John R. Campbell. And C. Fire Truck by Peter Sis. And your timer starts now. So let's see if you got the correct answer. So the correct answer is letter A. Pancakes for Breakfast is an example of a wordless book. It is a story where an old woman shares a silly story about creating pancakes without any text or dialogue. On the other hand, Chika Chika Boom Boom is an example of an alphabet book where the alphabet letters try to climb coconut tree. And lastly, we have Fire Truck, which is a counting book where the little boy becomes a fire truck in his dream and counts the item on the fire truck. So I suggest you read this story to your younger sisters or nephews or niece. This is a good educational book. Next, 8. In 1715, Dr. Isaac Watts published Divine and Moral Songs for Children, which is considered the first children's poem. What is the title of the poem? A. The Mother Goose Melody. B. The Cradle Hymn. C. Aesop's Fable. And your timer starts now. Okay, let's see if you got the correct answer. So the correct answer is letter B, the Cradle Hymn. So why not Mother Goose and Aesop's Fable? So Mother Goose is a collection of nursery rhymes. In contrast to Aesop's Fable, it's not a collection of poems, rather it is a collection of moralistic tales. Okay, so 9. He was the Bishop of Sherborne, who was probably the first man to write lesson books for children. A. Anselm. B. Comenius. C. Adolescent. And your timer starts now. Okay, let's see if you got the correct answer. So, the correct answer is letter C, Adolescent. All of our choices are bishops or archbishop of a certain places. Aside from that, their contribution to children's literature is significant. So let's discuss their contribution to children's literature. So Anselm is an archbishop of Canterbury who wrote the first encyclopedia for children, while Comenius was a bishop of Moravia and he invented the first picture book for children. And Adolescent was a bishop of Sherborne and was probably the first man to write lesson books for children. Lastly, we have children's literature is written for readers between the ages from blank to blank. A. 0 to 5 years old. B. 0 to 10 years old. And C. 0 to 18 years old. And your timer starts now. Let's see if you got the correct answer. So the correct answer is letter C. Children's literature is a literature written for children. With that, as defined by Tomlinson and Link-Brown, 2002, the age range of children's literature is from infancy to adolescence. So when we convert that to numbers, that is 0 to 18 years old. So again, the correct answer is letter C, 0 to 18 years old. And that ends our review for children and adolescents literature. Did you guys learn something today? Alright, don't hesitate to comment your questions or clarification and your scores about our review today. So good luck, future educators. Bye!